Hi guys, so a few weeks back now you saw that we did our enclosure build at Jimmy's farm. At the time we couldn't actually reveal what it was for, but today we have been back here adding in a few ropes, and we can reveal to you that it's actually for some rescued macaques, which is awesome. So when we were first approached to do this build, we approached it from a point of view that we don't know what the skill level of these animals is going to be. They could be incredibly immobile, they could actually be fine with jumping about different things. So we've made sure that each part of it is designed with different skill levels in mind. So just as an example, this first platform here, obviously it's the idea of it's a shelter, it's a viewpoint, but you've got this central point through the middle of it here, which means that if they don't want to jump straight up onto the higher levels, they can go up through the center onto this and then right up to the top, and it actually offers shelter the whole way through. Now we've got three of these sort of square platforms, and they actually have the windbreaks around the back. The area which we're in at the moment, it's if I just show you the outside of the enclosure, there's Mark by the way. So you can see that it's quite open off in the distance, so yeah, the likelihood is that through the winter there'll be a lot of wind whipping through here. So we've made sure we put different windbreaks on the different square platforms, so there's always shelter. But rather than just them being a plain flat surface, they're also functional. So on the back you can see that we have these climbing blocks here, so it's basically like a climbing wall. So if they are quite capable, they can then jump up onto those and then up to the top of the platform. So to go between the different parts of this enclosure, we put in the trip trap bridges. So the idea of these is that they have a tiny bit of movement on them, so they're held in place by one staple plate, well actually it's two staple plates and a D-shackle at one end, and then down at the far end you have two down this direction. So it means there's a tiny bit of movement on them, so they can get across there, but still sort of testing their balance just a little bit, which is great.
And as they get better at it, you can add bigger D-shackles in there, so the movement will increase. So because this is just a practice and a bit of physical therapy, it will just build them up slowly.
The idea of this, the whole exhibit, is obviously there's a lot of lovely grass out here as well. The fact that they like to be down on the ground is awesome. So there's lots of lovely grass around here, but we've made sure to actually include into our design these different feeders. But this one here is very simple. It's actually a dig box, so you can put different substrates inside this, and then obviously food onto the substrate as well. And when it comes time for the keepers to clean it out, it's very simple, just a case of undoing the screw, and then it actually drops down on a hinge and the front opens up, so you can literally run a wheelbarrow straight underneath that, and then all the substrate will fall down into that wheelbarrow, and then once everything's out, it's then just a case of picking it back up, nice and easy. You can see that front on there, and then screwing it back into place, as beautifully demonstrated by Mark. Thank you very much, Mark. By the way, thank you very much to Ryobi, who actually provided all of the tools and everything for this build. They've done amazing work for us, so thank you so much for that. So also around this enclosure we have these ropes. Now of course it's you quite often see ropes in different primate enclosures, but the way that we've actually made these work is that they're a lot stiffer than what you would imagine, because once again, if the ropes are too loose, we don't know if they're actually going to be able to use those. So you can see the way that the ropes slide into each other, making sure that they're all pulled fairly tight, so there's not too much sway in these. There's a little bit of movement, but not too much. You can always get in touch with us. We have done workshops and things about this in the past, and if there's enough of you, we're happy to do them again. But yeah, basically you've got these beautiful splices here onto the D-shackles, and then of course they're then held onto the staple plates on these posts?
So we've done the rope walkway in 2 different sections. So if there's a monkey on either of the 2 sides, the whole lot will move, but they'll move separately just again because of the fact that some of the monkeys are going to be less able than others. So it doesn't completely unbalance them if they're trying to get along and a youngster starts bouncing around in it.
So show me that again. So basically as you move one rope, it moves that rope over there, which is connected to those ropes over there and those ropes leading up to both of the square platforms. But then you can see this one wasn't moving, which now that one's moving. You can see how that's then connected to ones over there, right across over to the tree off in the distance and up to the top of the show platform here. So this is one of the areas where we sort of really wanted to concentrate on. You can see we've got the trip trap bridges around between these 3 sections here. So the 1 square platform, the 2nd square platform, the triangle, and then onto what we're calling the show platform. So the idea is that it's an easy route to be able to get between these different areas. If they want to go across more direct route, we've got our bridges of doom instead. So as named by Mark just here. So it's a harder route, but it's shorter. So you've either got the easy route, which is longer, or the harder route, which is shorter, straight across between these. So there's a lot of movement in these, so they can obviously bounce between them. And the way that they're actually held in place is just very simply by some staple plates and with a bit of rope going through it with a barrel knot on the end of it just there. So that's how these are all held together, very, very simply like this. So the idea of all of this is that we've filled up a lot of space, we're providing shelter, we're providing different feeding opportunities. You can actually see one of our feeders here. This was created through our Patreon platform. So if you want to find out any more about this and how it works, definitely pop over to that. We'll provide a link in the description or in the comments below. What we do love is that we've actually attached it all on over to this tree over here as well, which is quite lovely. So we've got a really good network of ropes around here, which Mark has been working hard on this morning. So we have the other trip trap bridge, which goes down in this direction. Now the reason that this is actually up at a slope is because we want to make sure that we can get into the centre of this area, once again thinking about the keeper's access into it. So with our show platform we provided steps up it. I mean, it's multifunctional, obviously good for the keepers to use to get up here and clean out, but also, you know, if it turns out these primates aren't as mobile as, you know, maybe we'd sort of hope, then they can also use this to actually access up the top here as well. So within this show platform we've got 2 different types of fire hose hammocks. So this is the very large one right in the middle here, which we absolutely love. It took a little bit of work on this. If you're planning on doing large fire hose hammocks or anything, you'll notice that we've also got bolts right across the middle, and this will stop those pieces of fire hose from sort of working apart. But also on the top of the platform we have one which is made from blue fire hose, and this stuff's a lot stiffer, but it's very, very bouncy as well. So hopefully these guys will come and have a nice time. Yeah, they can rest in this if they want to, but you can imagine they can also bounce on that. Or, you know, for the smaller ones, if at any point there's ever any youngsters in here, they'll be able to drop down straight through to this and annoy the parents who are relaxing underneath. Which sounds great. So of course we put steps going up here as well, and it's actually a lovely view from up the top here. You can see all the way around the exhibit and how everything is joined together. Just like so. So how on earth, by the way, excuse the train. So how on earth have we actually put the hammocks in place? Because you'll notice that you can't see any of the edges on these. So what we actually did is to adjust the framework, we actually made 2 lots of framework on this. So we started off with one square, which is what we actually attached the fire hose onto. And you can see, if I look up underneath here, you can see how the fire hose, you can just about make it out in between these gaps here. So that fire hose is actually held in place with screws and washers all the way around. So we use the square first of all, and then that square then sits down into the framework of the platform itself. And of course it's then just pinned with our screws, which go through from the framework into the fire hose timber. And then to make sure that it all looks beautiful, we then put the decking in all the way around outside, so you can't see any of the fire hose framework at all, and we think it looks beautiful.